Welcome everybody to the Treasure Coast Regional League of Cities and St. Lucie County Chamber of Commerce Candidate Forum. It is our honor, our pleasure to be co-hosting this event today. I am Teresa Aronson, President and CEO of the St. Lucie County Chamber of Commerce. Here in St. Lucie County, we have only one chamber, and we're very lucky and fortunate to be able to be involved in a lot of the issues and candidate forums, the economic development that's going on in this city. So we're very happy to be representing the business community today. Please, I'd like to pass it over to my co-moderator, Mr. Tom Campenny.
I am Tom Campenny, representing the Treasure Coast Regional League of Cities. The Treasure Coast Regional League of Cities was founded in 2006 and is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization made up of 14 cities and towns throughout the Treasure Coast in St. Lucie, Martin, Indian River, and Okeechobee counties. The league is one of over 24 affiliates of the Florida League of Cities. Our mission is to raise awareness and promote the collective interest of the municipalities and their residents of the Treasure Coast.
Thank you, Tom. And a little bit of housekeeping. I am very thankful for the studio audience that has joined us today and their community involvement. I ask that they all please silence or turn off their phones at this time. I'm going to go over a few rules for our candidates, if you don't mind. A timer will be used to indicate a 15-second warning. A bell will indicate that the candidate's time has elapsed. But let's go over first how we're going to do this. Order of appearance within each group of candidates will be chosen at random. We have already done that. Opening statements of 2 minutes will allow candidates to introduce themselves. Topics will be a wide range of state issues. The moderators, Tom and myself, will read the questions. No interaction among the candidates, audience members, or other program participants is allowed. Answers to these questions on issues will be limited to 1 minute, and each candidate will be given the chance to answer. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes for closing statements to wrap up and cover any issues not yet discussed. No direct interaction of any kind will be allowed from the audience. The audience cannot ask questions. Only the moderators will be allowed to interact with the candidates. All interaction by a candidate will be through the event moderator. So we're going to give you a 2-minute opening statement. The closing will then go in reverse order. We will pose the questions. You get 1 minute to answer. There is no rebuttals. Catherine, over here to my left, Catherine Cordero from the Chamber of Commerce will be our official timekeeper today. She will hold up the sign, as she's going to demonstrate now, when you have 15 seconds left. And when your time is up, she will also hold up a sign that says time is up and give you the ever so not annoying bell. So we are going to be very insistent that when that bell rings, your time is up. It is our job here. Please help me out to make sure that you do not go beyond your 1 minute or 2 minute presentations. If that is okay with everybody, you can nod in agreement and we shall begin. All right. Have we been given the official order?
Yes, Ms. Keiser, Ms. Harrell, Mr. Levy.
Oh, well, that worked out very conveniently then. Okay. So we shall start. Ms. Keiser.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this afternoon. I'm Belinda Keiser, and I'm running to be your next state senator for District 25. I have been an educator and a job developer for 35 years of my life. Our family founded Keiser University roughly 37 years ago, 40 years to be exact. We started in Fort Lauderdale, but we have 18 different campuses throughout the state, and we have been the Treasure Coast for roughly 20 years. We've served from 1 student to 100 students, and along the way I have learned not only we have to be of service to in terms of talent development, but to also create jobs. We have a $3 billion economic impact on the state of Florida, and in this community alone, hundreds of graduates employ over 100 people who are part of our team, and we're very proud of them. What I have learned will help me as a member of the state legislature, and to that end, let me share with you that I am a big proponent of home rule. When I served on the Constitution Revision Commission, I voted in favor of home rule, and my record has been consistent. I've been endorsed by the National Rifle Association, endorsed by the Martin County Firefighters, statewide and local Police Benevolent Association, and the Florida Chamber. I can assure you, ladies and gentlemen, that along the way, having been a champion, having gone to Washington for public-private education and choice, for lower taxes, and for our safety, as well as the Second Amendment, you will have a strong advocate who truly listens, that you can count on, who believes in the strength and the importance of local government. Thank you.
Ms. Harrell.
Thank you very much. And first, I want to say thank you to the League of Cities for doing this forum. It's extremely important. I'm a 47-year resident of the Treasure Coast. I've been part of you working hard for all the people of the Treasure Coast. I'm a former teacher, a businesswoman. My wonderful husband just passed away, and I managed his practice for many years. He delivered 4,000 babies here. I owned a mammogram center. I'm part of this community. I'm a community volunteer. I'm a founding board member of Hibiscus Children's Center. I've sat on the board of Helping People Succeed, the old Tri-County Tech for many years. Big Brothers, Big Sisters here in St. Lucie County. I have been here for you. I've had the honor and privilege of serving you as your state representative. And during that time, I have always concentrated on things that are important to the citizens of the Treasure Coast. Whether it's legislation, I passed Brittany's Law. You may remember that one, where we had a sexual predator here and he was not arrested and held. I passed many bills, whether it's beverage taxes, helping our local businesses be successful, lowering those beverage taxes. Also, I have worked very hard on many of the bills and financial things, whether it's McCarty Ranch, our Veterans Nursing Home. We worked very hard with the County Commission, with the City Council, in order to get the funds, and that's going to be a major, major workforce developer, and good for our veterans. I've concentrated on things that are important to this community. I don't live in Broward County. I have my roots here. I am ready to continue service to you in the Florida Senate, and I very much would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Levy.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank the Treasure Coast League of Cities again for putting on this forum. I'm a newcomer to politics. I am not a career politician. I'm a physician and businessman who's running because I'm tired of the inaction of politicians who are all talk and no action. As a volunteer physician at the Volunteers in Medicine Clinic for more than 18 years, I see people on a weekly basis who have been denied access to affordable health care due to the actions of the Florida legislature. And I want to change that. As a 35-year resident of the Treasure Coast, I've seen our river become more and more polluted and destroyed year after year due to the Florida legislature's refusal to act on anything that has to do with our ecosystem, and to fully fund Florida Forever and Amendment 1, which was passed by more than 75% of our fellow Floridians. And I want to change that. As a parent, I've seen our students and teachers get robbed again and again due to the actions of the Florida legislature and special interests as they steal money from the lottery and other funds diverted to private schools, most of which are for-profit or religious. And I want to change that. There are many other issues that affect all Floridians. I want to ensure that all Floridians have a living wage, that we enact common sense gun safety laws, and protect a woman's right to choose. But we can't change any of that until we change who represents us in the Florida legislature. I will work tirelessly on behalf of the residents of the Treasure Coast to ensure that. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Levy, we will move on to the question portion. We'll start with Mr. Campetti. Remember, you will be limited to 1 minute in your answers.
Ms. Keiser, Florida cities have home rule powers which were enshrined by the Constitution 50 years ago. Each year, the state legislature passes laws that limit or preempt municipal home rule powers. If elected, would you oppose efforts to preempt municipal home rule powers? Are there any circumstances under which you would support a legislative preemption of home rule?
Thank you very much for the question. It's a very important issue. Let me begin by saying that I am not a career politician, and I have had the honor of being appointed by 2 Republican governors, and one in particular, Governor Rick Scott, to the Constitution Revision Commission. Before us was a very important proposal that would require the legislature to provide more transparency, to also a higher threshold, a 2/3 vote, and a one subject issue if they were going to bring something forward in home rule. I voted in favor of that because, unfortunately, under Representative Harrell's watch, 7 times she voted against home rule. It is extremely important that legislators, we look at policy and we are consistent and transparent.
Thank you very much. You know, unfortunately, sometimes there are bad actors out there, and laws are frequently passed in reaction to bad actors. And, you know, we live on the Treasure Coast. It's a unique place. We don't live in Broward County, and our cities are responsible. But there are many cities and many counties who are not looking out for the taxpayer, and perhaps are not only misusing, but also fraudulently using tax dollars. I have looked at many of these bills on home rule, and sometimes it's been necessary to say that the state has to limit some things because there are so many bad actors out there. We are blessed. We have a wonderful opportunity here. I have worked with our city councils and commissions to make sure that we have the least impact on our good actors, and that's the Treasure Coast.
Dr. Levy?
I am very much in favor of home rule, which is what the Florida League of Cities was established for. As was said previously, there were 8 bills in the legislature that the Florida League of Cities decided were against home rule. So I very much am in favor of home rule without exception.
Very good.
Aronson?
Thank you, Mr. Campetti. The legislator, I'm sorry, we'll start with Dr. Levy at this time. We'll go in reverse order.
Sure.
The legislator has mandated that certain health conditions suffered by firefighters and law enforcement are presumed to be work-related and applied to both workers' comp and disability pension claims. Disability presumption mandates are very costly to city budgets. Would you oppose expanding the existing disability presumption to include a cancer disability presumption? Do you support modifying existing law so that certain risk factors such as tobacco use should be considered when applying for the presumption?
I am very much in favor of expanding whatever legislative possibilities exist to support our firefighters and EMTs. I have the privilege of serving on the Federal Disaster Medical Assistance teams, where I've gotten to know a lot of these individuals. The DMAT teams are part of the federal government, and we're called in after natural disasters, such as occurred at Superstorm Sandy, and most recently I was deployed to Puerto Rico for Hurricane Maria. I've come to know these individuals very, very well. After spending 24 hours, 7 days a week, for 14 days, I really understand the needs and issues. Anything that would expand additional benefits for them, I am very much in favor of.
Senator Harrell, the question is to you.
Thank you very much. Our firefighters and first responders are so important to keeping us safe, and I believe that we need to empower them and make sure that they have the coverage that they need. I believe that there is an exemption on the cancer thing for smoking. That is okay. Smoking definitely is linked to cancer of the lung. However, when they go into a burning building, that has a huge impact as well. So we have to be very careful in how you write total exclusions. I am very pleased to be endorsed by the St. Lucie County Firefighters Association, and I look forward to working with them in crafting good legislation to make sure that they have the coverage that they need. And when they go into that burning building, they are as safe as possible. They put their lives at risk, but they need to know that we are there for them should they have consequences, untoward consequences. I will be there for my firefighters.
Ms. Keiser.
Thank you for, again, a critical question. Ladies and gentlemen, my father and I still own property in Fort Pierce for roughly 10 years when my father had cancer and was given 4 months to live, and through good care and the grace of God had 4 years. So I have long-term roots in this community. Ladies and gentlemen, firefighters and first responders put their life on the lines almost daily. They are subject to all kinds of hazards, including health hazards. I have to say that I would be in favor of expanding this benefit because one of the most significant things that are taking their lives is unfortunately cancer. I also want you to know that I do understand that there is a collective bargaining initiative and opportunity at the local level. It is critical. I was instrumental in passing the Office of Domestic and Counterterrorism because these threats, Florida, unfortunately.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
I believe Ms. Harrell goes first. Community redevelopment areas are created to improve blighted areas through the use of tax increment financing to make those improvements and attract economic development. These CRAs have been very successful in several of our local communities, such as Fort Pierce, Vero, and Stewart, revitalizing the older downtown areas. Do you support the continuation of locally funded CRAs?
Thank you so much for this excellent question. I am a big supporter of CRAs. We've seen this success right here on the Treasure Coast. And in fact, I sponsored the bill for Indiantown to get a CRA. That's how committed I am to them. Unfortunately, again, there have been bad actors in CRAs, and there was legislation that was offered that I voted against because I thought that this was overreaching. And I felt that, yes, we need to make sure we get rid of bad actors, but we need to make sure that our communities who are good actors, like Fort Pierce, like Port St. Lucie, like Stewart, like Indiantown, have the ability to have their CRA. I will continue to fight for our CRAs in the Senate.
Ms. Keiser.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to address this question. I'm very much in favor of CRAs. Let me share with you that I was governor's appointment to the Economic Development Council, what is known as Enterprise Florida for the state of Florida, and I believe that it gives the really critical funds necessary to create more jobs, to increase the tax base, to provide better quality of life and opportunity to our residents. I have flown for over 35 years to Tallahassee to work with leadership. I know many members personally and been an advocate for CRAs. I look forward again to being your champion if granted the opportunity in the state Senate. Thank you.
Dr. Levy?
Thank you. I am very much in favor of CRAs, but I'm confused because in the recent legislative session, a bill was passed, HB 17, which would have sunset provisions on CRAs. So I don't think that we need sunset provisions on these very valuable things. I mean, obviously, I don't think Fort Pierce or Stewart or Vero Beach would have been able to be developed, the downtown would have been able to be developed unless it was for these. I think you don't throw out the baby with the bathwater by putting sunset provisions, and that bill did pass the Florida House.
Thank you. Moving on, I believe Ms. Keiser will start this one off. Do you support a local government being allowed to implement its own restrictions that govern short-term rentals, especially in light of organizations such as Airbnb renting properties in residential communities, disrupting the lives of those who live there full-time?
So my husband and I live on Hutchinson Island, and it's a beautiful area. With the thought in mind that when somebody buys a home and I think that individuals should have the ability to enforce their property rights. I'm very troubled by the fact that the state legislature took a position on this. And I, again, do not believe in big government. I believe that on a local level, you're better able to assess your needs. But I am a strong proponent of property rights. And it is up to property right owners, as well in coordination with local government, to decide the use of property.
you.
Thank you. Representative Harrell?
Would you repeat the question, please?
Absolutely. Do you support a local government being allowed to implement its own restrictions that govern short-term rentals, especially in light of organizations such as Airbnb renting properties in residential communities, disrupting the lives of those who live there full-time?
Property rights are key. They're fundamental. They're established in our Constitution and, again, in our Bill of Rights. This is absolutely an essential to who we are as a people. If you don't have property rights in this country, then our Constitution means nothing. I really think that this is an endeavor where we need to protect all property rights, the property rights of the individual who owns the property and wants to rent it, as well as the property owner next door. So this is an issue that the cities and the state have to work together with, along with property owners, to come up with valid restrictions and valid means of enforcing them so that we do not abridge either property owner's rights. All property rights are important. Our Constitution sets that up.
Dr. Levy?
Thank you. By the way, I think I misspoke on the first question. It had to do with home rule when I said I was against it. I'm very much in favor of home rule. Regarding Airbnb, I believe that all of these issues should be handled on a local basis. What's best for Port St. Lucie is not going to be best for Panama City or Parkland. Therefore, they should be decided on a local basis because we know best what's best for our communities. We don't need somebody who's 300 miles away in Tallahassee dictating what happens in our local municipalities.
Mr. Campenny?
Would you support giving the citizens of a city the power to tax themselves through voter approval in a referendum for the specific purposes of funding city roads, utilities, or public parks? I believe that Dr. Levy.
Could you repeat the question?
Sure. Would you support giving citizens of a city the power to tax themselves through voter approval in a referendum for the specific purposes of funding city roads, utilities, and public parks?
Yes. I don't believe that a lot of the actions that are taken by the state should be done in the method that it is. I think, again, these are local issues. They should be controlled locally, not by the state, by some state fiat.
Ms. Keiser?
Thank you for the opportunity to address this question. I truly believe that at a local level, you're in the best position to evaluate changing needs of your community infrastructure. In fact, on the ballot, there is a half a penny sales tax to increase teacher salaries. I think it is a very good initiative to make sure that from a local perspective, you can help with infrastructure, funding for local parks, and things like teacher salaries. I would support.
Cities, counties have the ability through a voter referendum to leverage a sales tax, as do school boards. And we've seen that happen here. We've seen them successful and unsuccessful. I have no problems with cities doing likewise, as long as it is a voter referendum. I let the citizens decide whether they want to pay that tax or not.
Thank you. We are going to move on to closing remarks, and we will go in reverse order as we noted earlier. So, Dr. Levy, you would be first in this instance.
Thank you. Once again, I'd like to thank the Treasure Coast League of Cities for addressing these issues. I believe that we are all in agreement about some things, but I think that we are not in agreement about other things. As I said, I'm a physician and a businessman. I'm not a career politician. Healthcare is a vital right. It is not a privilege. And as I ask rhetorical questions during my talking points at different neighborhoods, I ask how many physicians there are in the state legislature. There are none. It would be nice if we were able to have somebody in the legislature who truly is involved in the delivery of healthcare. This is not a specific League of Cities issue, but the issues that affect our local community with volunteer clinics that are necessary due to the inaction of the state legislature are vital to a continuing healthy population.
Thank you. Representative Harrell.
Thank you so very much. And once again, I want to say thank you to the League of Cities for hosting this. As I said earlier, I am part of this community. I'm part of this wonderful Treasure Coast. And the number one problem we have here, and affects our economy and our environment, is the releases from Lake Okeechobee. It's impacted Club Med, it's impacted the city of Stewart, it's impacted everyone in the area. I passed Legacy Florida 3 years ago that's putting $4 billion over the next 18 years into stopping those releases and improving our economy and our environment. I have focused on legislation that helps the Treasure Coast, whether it's the Veterans Nursing Home, whether it's fighting for jobs in our area, whether it's improving education. I've been here and focused on that. I will continue to do that. I'm so pleased to have the endorsement of local community leaders. Senator Negron, who's retiring as president of the Senate, has endorsed me. Our wonderful senator from St. Lucie County, Ken Pruitt, has endorsed me. Our sheriff in Martin County has endorsed me. Representative Aaron Grahl, who represents part of St. Lucie County, has endorsed me. Our local communities, our local leaders understand that I am committed to this community. I will continue to represent you and be with you. Your issues are my issues. I have lived them. I've been with you. I've served you in my entire adult life. I've been here since 1971. Oh my goodness. And I am here for you. My door is always open. I will continue to serve you. Thank you, and I would appreciate your vote August 28th. Gayle Harrell for Senate District 25.
Ms. Keiser.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for the opportunity to have this conversation. I'm not a career politician. I'm a person that has been in service for 35 years. I've been an educator, an entrepreneur with deep roots in your community. I believe this is why the firefighters, the local PBA, the National Rifle Association, and the Trump, Karen Giorno from the Trump campaign endorsed me, and I was the delegate to the Republican convention. Folks, serving in this community, graduating firefighters, teachers, nurses is a valuable contribution, and I'm proud of our graduates. I can tell you that I've been a property owner for over 10 years. If elected to the state senate, I will be a person of action, not words. There have been too many broken promises about the water and too little progress. I can tell you that I know what it's like to go to Tallahassee and to fight for something and to have individuals who tell you they will be with you, but then vote differently. I ask for you to look at my record over time, the service that I've provided. I ask you to look at others' voting record to really determine what they believe in, because our actions speak louder than words. Ladies and gentlemen, I will be accountable. I will be of service, and I will be your advocate in the Florida Senate. I would ask for your vote on August 28th for District 25. I am Belinda Keiser. Thank you again.
Thank you to all of the candidates for Florida Senate District 25. We appreciate you being here with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.